Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today I will analyze the case of Harjinder Singh. First I'll look at the background of this case, move to the timeline of the crime, then offer my analysis. Harjinder Singh was born in the mid-1990s and lived in India. In September 2018, he entered the state of California illegally by crossing the border with Mexico. 2 days after his entry, he was arrested by the Border Patrol and processed for fast-track deportation. In January 2019, after telling the authorities he was afraid to return to India, Harjinder was classified as an asylum seeker. He was released on a $5,000 immigration bond and lived in Stockton, California. On September 14, 2020, his work authorization was rejected. This was under the Trump administration. On June 9, 2021, the authorization for Harjinder was approved. This was under the Biden administration. On July 15, 2023, Harjinder received a regular, full-time commercial driver's license from the state of Washington. Asylum seekers are not permitted to receive this type of CDL. On July 23, 2024, he received a limited-term, non-domiciled CDL from the state of California. On July 3, 2025, Harjinder was pulled over by the New Mexico State Police, who gave him a speeding ticket. As of June 25, the police were required by law to give him an English language proficiency test, but they failed to do so. Little did they know, this was a catastrophic mistake. Now moving to the timeline of the crime. On August 12, 2025, 28-year-old Harjinder Singh was in the state of Florida driving a tractor-trailer for White Hawk Carriers, which is a trucking company based in California. The power unit was a 2024 International LT625 with an automatic transmission. He was pulling a refrigerated trailer, also known as a reefer. This appeared to be a 53-foot trailer. It's not clear if Harjinder was empty or not, but this combination would have weighed about 35,000 pounds empty and up to 80,000 pounds loaded, assuming that the carrier was abiding by the law as far as the weight limit. Riding in the passenger seat, there was a 25-year-old man named Harjinder Singh. Harjinder was driving north on Florida's Turnpike at mile marker 171 at around 3 p.m. For some reason, which defies rational explanation, he decided to attempt a U-turn using a break in the median, which was marked official use only. These turnarounds are typically used by emergency vehicles or road workers. They are definitely not supposed to be used by regular passenger or commercial vehicles. Harjinder pulled his tractor into the median, which left his trailer blocking all the northbound lanes. At this moment, a 2015 Chrysler Town & Country minivan with 3 occupants was driving northbound in the passing lane. The driver was a 30-year-old man. The 2 passengers were a 37-year-old woman and a 54-year-old man. The minivan slammed into the refrigerated trailer and went a few feet under it. A camera mounted inside the tractor captured the moment of impact. It was clear that the minivan had nowhere to go. The trailer can be seen moving from the force of the impact. Harjinder had a blank expression on his face immediately after the collision. The 2 passengers were killed on impact. The driver was transported to a hospital in Fort Pierce, where he died. As first responders were working at the scene, Harjinder could be seen standing not far from his tractor, staring at whoever was recording the video. On August 13, 2025, the day after the fatal collision, Harjinder and Harneet flew to Sacramento, California. On August 15, a warrant was issued for Harjinder's arrest on 3 counts of vehicular homicide and immigration violations. On August 16, Harjinder Singh was arrested without incident in Stockton, California. He will be extradited to Florida to face the charges. If convicted, he is facing a maximum of 45 years in prison, but realistically, his sentence will probably be between 10 and 15 years. After this, he will be deported to India. At the time I'm making this video, Harjinder Singh is working his way through the criminal justice system. His immigration status and his reckless behavior have ignited a firestorm of controversy. Now moving to my analysis. Here are my thoughts on a few areas that stood out to me in this case. Item number 1. Right after the fatal collision, Harjinder was given the English language proficiency assessment by the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. He supplied the correct responses to just 2 out of 12 verbal questions and was only able to identify 1 out of 4 highway signs shown to him. This man had the authority, through his CDL, to operate an 80,000-pound tractor-trailer on public roadways, but he could not understand English. He simply had no idea what was written on most of the highway signs he encountered. Item number 2. Attempting a U-turn on a turnpike is illegal, unwise, and extremely unusual. This maneuver is not taught in any CDL class anywhere in the United States. No motorist would expect to encounter a tractor-trailer cutting off all lanes of a highway without notice. Presumably, Harjinder attempted this U-turn because he missed an exit. The typical procedure for a truck driver who misses an exit is to simply drive to the next exit where there is an entrance ramp available for the other direction. Most exits are this way. They allow entry to the highway in the opposite direction. On top of executing an extremely dangerous maneuver, Harjinder did this when a vehicle was not far behind him. Did he even look to see if anyone was coming? Did he even care? Maybe he just assumed that they had room to stop. There's no way to know what he was thinking. It just doesn't make any sense at all. Item number 3. Many people were disturbed by the cold expression Harjinder had on his face after the collision. Similarly, the stare that he offered as the first responders were working was unnerving. He looked less like a horrified truck driver and more like a guy who remembered that he left his cell phone charger at home. Did his expressions indicate that he had no remorse, that he was cold and callous? He must have known the occupants of the minivan were killed. Maybe he believed they were seriously wounded, but that would still be a major cause for concern. Why didn't he have a reaction consistent with the severity of the incident? Some people have argued that the expressions prove that he was evil or had some type of ill intent. I believe that Harjinder's attempt at a U-turn was criminal, but I don't know if the expressions can be used to infer his state of mind. People can have a wide variety of reactions when something unexpected occurs. The same facial expression can indicate many different feelings, depending on the person. In this instance, it's also worth considering the effect of cultural differences. Maybe his expression was consistent with shock or grief. Perhaps he was confused by the situation. Harjinder didn't really understand English, so if someone had explained to him what happened, it would not have mattered. These expressions could have been offered because he was disoriented. Item number 4. Harjinder drove for a company called Whitehawk Carriers. At the time I'm making this video, they are no longer allowed to operate outside the state of California. The history of the company was not stellar as far as safety violations. In January 2024, one of their drivers was caught with a suspended license. The same thing happened in February 2024. Over the last 2 years, their drivers were cited for several offenses, including inattentive or distracted driving, not using hazard warning lights, lane restriction violation, improper lane change, failure to stay in lane, not moving over for emergency vehicles, and speeding in a work zone. Their drivers were taken out of service 9 times after roadside inspections. Item number 5. What do I think happened in this case? This is just a theory, my opinion. The states of Washington and California gave Harjinder a Class A CDL, even though he was dangerously unqualified to operate a tractor-trailer. Specifically looking at California, their training requirements are not stringent at all. For instance, the state requires just 15 hours of behind-the-wheel training. Only 10 of that must be on public roads. Not surprisingly, when Harjinder started operating a tractor-trailer around the country, he did not drive safely. His recklessness killed 3 people in Fort Pierce, Florida. What should society do about this situation? For one thing, illegal immigrants should not be allowed to get CDLs. This was only permitted to advance a bizarre political agenda, but it backfired badly. In general, there seems to be a hazardous trend forming where it is becoming easier to get a CDL. Heavy trucks can be very dangerous in the hands of someone unqualified, as this case illustrates. Maybe it's time to take a close look at the requirements and to enforce the rules that are already on the books, like the English language proficiency requirement. As I've mentioned in other videos, a long time ago, like over 30 years ago, I owned a trucking company. My trucks hauled walking floor trailers full of demolition. Back then, nothing about driving a truck was easy. Automatic transmissions in Class 8 rigs were just about unheard of. Everybody had to learn how to shift an unsynchronized manual transmission. Truckers navigated using paper maps and poorly described directions scribbled in notebooks. When it was time to call the office, they had to find a payphone. Many of the drivers not only knew how to operate a truck, they were halfway decent mechanics. They understood how trucks and other heavy equipment actually functioned. These days, 90% of Class 8 trucks have automatic transmissions. Drivers have cell phones and other communication systems. They have GPS. Onboard diagnostics can reveal the source of problems with a truck. Old-school drivers could change out a fuel injector on the side of the road. A modern driver has to call for roadside assistance when they lose their Bluetooth connection. Drivers still need to know how to make turns and how to back up, which can be tricky in tight spaces. But many of the mechanically oriented skills are no longer needed. Without an appreciation for the mechanical side of the industry, a driver may be tempted to operate a truck as if they are driving a big car. Perhaps that is a factor that contributed to this fatal collision. Harjinder did not appreciate how heavy trucks actually run on the road. He didn't understand the physics. Maybe the trucking industry was better when it required drivers to be more skilled and well-rounded, back when the term barely qualified didn't lead to an immediate and enthusiastic job offer. Those are my thoughts in the case of Harjinder Singh. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you soon. Just a reminder, I have over 300 pre-release videos on my Patreon account. These videos are of the same quality as the videos I release to the public. When I put a video in pre-release status on Patreon, it usually stays that way for several months, if not a year. I will put the link to Patreon in the description for this video.